Who are you creating your art for? Who? Who is your art for? For those of you who've been following me for a while now, you've probably noticed how I've done a bunch of videos on why you're an artist, how you should go about it, what you should do in order to fulfill that process. The why, what, how framework, one of my favorites. But one of the things that gets neglected way too often in this whole conversation is who are you creating art for? Here's the thing. Approximately 90% of the people who are defining success for you right now are not artists themselves. It's the kind of thing we tend to bypass so often and forget amidst the noise of social media and all this advice you're getting. It's a Sunday night here in cold Berlin. I'm thinking right now, I should not be posting this. According to 900 million articles I've read from multiple sources in the music industry, this is like the worst time to post. But my question is, who am I creating this for? Is this even art? That's a whole different question altogether. But chances are, if you ask yourself who your art is made for, you will realize that you don't necessarily know exactly who your audience is. So is it your fans, quote unquote? Who are your fans? Is it for fellow musicians? Are you a musician? Something I'm accused of pretty often. Is it for friends, family, industry specialists you want to make a point to on how skillful you are and what you do, how good you are? Is it for your students, maybe, for those of you who are music educators and want to set an example for your students through your art? Who is your audience? Figure that out. Once you've figured out why you're making art, how you want to go about making art that fulfills you, what you need to do in order to fulfill that process, I'm repeating again, the next thing you need to figure out is who is your audience? Who are you creating your art for? My answer is, I'm creating art for myself. Everything else is not part of the art making process. Everything else is about figuring a way out. Excuse me, stammering, it is really cold here. Everything else is about figuring out strategies on how to take my art out to my audience. That is a different process. And we're living in an age where it is so easy to confuse the two processes. Making art and coming up with strategies for taking that art out to our audiences are two very different processes. And not a lot of people are going to talk about this, because the people talking about what you ought to be doing with your art are not artists themselves. So again, who are you creating your art for? Take a minute to ponder over that.